Okay. All right, class. What I'm gonna do, because it seems like you guys are having a hard time last week with the instructions for the assignment. So what I'm gonna do is kind of help you guys out with the assignment on today. I'm gonna talk to you about exactly what it is I needed to see inside of Soundtrap, okay, with the two chord assignment. Now, what you need to understand is the first thing you should have done was chose two numbers between 1 and 7. And the reason that you're going to do that is because you need two different chords to build your assignment off of and build your beat off of. So if you guess you can look, I have the chart up right here. So the chart is right here. Um, this chart has all of the chords in the key of B flat, basically that are in the scale. If I choose just two numbers, I'm gonna just do two numbers myself. So let's just say I'm going to do 6 and 3. So I'll choose the G chord, which is G, B flat, and D, and the 3 chord, which is D, F, and A. Understand how I got those? I just picked the number and I looked up under the number and got the 3 notes that are there. Okay. The G is going to be your bottom note, just the first note, then B flat, then D. So it's kind of going to be in reverse. Just know that your top note that's right here is actually going to be your bottom note inside of Soundtrap on the piano roll. So we're going to go ahead and move in. So I'm going to use 6 and 3, okay? For this entire demonstration, you choose two numbers. Make sure that you know what your chord numbers are. So that being said, it's good to sometimes write stuff down. Let me pause really quick. I don't have to actually pause, but I just want to write down my notes. So I'm doing the 6, which is G, B flat, and D, and the 3 chord, D, F, and A. Okay, cool. So I'm going to grab those two chords. That's what I'm going to be creating with. This chart is inside of your general chat from last week. We were passing this chart around left and right. You should see some screenshots of it inside your general chat area. For any class that you've been in. So just look for it. And if you don't find it or you can't find it, just let me know and I'll screenshot it for your actual class again to make sure you have a copy of it. Because we're going to do all other keys. It's not just going to be in the key of B flat forever. Okay, so right now we're in B flat. So let's move over to Soundtrap and we'll walk you through getting into Soundtrap. As you know, you always use Enter Studio. So let's click that. And it takes a little bit of time to load, but that's okay. Okay, we're gonna discard. The reason why I'm discarding that is because they're trying to make me pull up, a previous assignment. I want to start from scratch so you can see everything in the process, okay? Okay, so let's do music. Let's go to add track. And I've been letting you guys have the free reign of choosing your instruments. I'm going to choose synthesizer. You can do the same if you like. Let's see if I can find something inside a synthesizer. I really like Lucid, so I'll do Lucid. Okay, so just to recap, the two chords that I'm using, it's going to be G, B flat, D. Then the second chord that I'm going to use, which is 3 chords, going to be B, F, and A. Okay, so the piano is here. It can kind of help you with that, just knowing what your notes are going to be. But ultimately, we need to get to the piano roll, right? So the piano roll is right here. So I'm going to click it. It's right here in the center. I'm just going to click piano roll. This opens us up to our piano roll. My tempo, I usually like a slower tempo. If you don't want to do a slower tempo, that's fine. I'm going to drop my tempo. Let's say we do Let's do 85. Oh, change that. Okay, here it is, 85. And we confirm it, so you make sure you confirm it as well. All right, so now we just got to put in our stuff. So here we go. Our first chord was G, B flat, and D. So what I do, I'm gonna go in here. I'm going to click the G. Oh, that's the F. If you make a wrong note by accident, click and drag it to the right note. So that's G. And we're going to drag this out for four boxes. See how this is a lot longer now? I just dragged it. Now, since this is a chord, ladies and gentlemen, we have to put the notes on top of each other. So the second note in my chord, which is my sixth chord, which is the G, B flat, and D. The next note is going to be B flat. The note after that is D. Okay. Now, if I slide over to this new column right here, I'm going to drop in my next chord. My next chord, y'all, started on D. So this is actually the last note that we put in. So we're going to put D here. We're going to go to F. And then we're going to go to A. Okay. So if I go back to the beginning, and to go back to me, all I did was take this purple bar right here and drag it back. You see this purple bar that I'm moving? Let's drag this all the way back to where it can't move back any further. And then let's hit play. And just hear what we got. Okay. Cool. Okay, so look. This is our chords. Okay, we're like a third done. Okay, so let's take that off. So this is the chords that we have. Notice that they're stacked. Let me go back to it. Notice that the notes are stacked on top of each other. And then when I go to my next chord, I stack those three on top of each other. If you're confused about where these notes came from, once again, they come from this chart. Do not be confused about that. You need this chart in order to create your chords. And we got our two numbers. Once you choose two numbers, you can use the chords from them two numbers. Okay, use the three notes from those numbers that you choose. So let's say, for instance, you chose 2 and 4, then your notes would be C, E flat, and G, and then E flat, G, and B flat. Okay, so don't be confused. That's how we did that. Okay. Now, another thing that I've seen you guys have issues with is bass lines. So let's create a bass line real quick. I'm gonna go to add new track. I'm gonna go to guitar and bass. Okay. Let's go in and click this rectangle. And we're gonna find a bass. So you got bass, bass, bass. You got electric bass, you got 808 basses, and you got synth basses. I'm gonna go into synth. Choose whatever bass you like. Just going to choose one. I'm not going to spend a lot of time worried about, the sound because I'm doing a demonstration. So it's not that big of a deal. The sweet spot for bass lines, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be between your C2 and C3 area. It's kind of going to be the area. And you see how I'm moving my mouse back and forth between these array of keys right here. This is what's going to actually give you a good bass line. You want to make sure your piano is low enough. When you click your bass instrument, your piano should automatically jump down to here. But if it doesn't, then I just want you to understand it should. So you can hear these notes. These are the notes. Now, the way that we create a bass line, y'all, if I can go back to my chart, my two chords was on the 6 and on the 3, right? It's on the 6 and the 3. So actually to be, 6 and then 3. So in order to create a bass line, you need the root of each of those chords. So you need the root of the 6 chord, and you need the root of the 3 chord. When I say the word root should be indicative of like a tree. Okay, when you think about a tree and you think about roots, that's the roots aren't up with the leaves. The roots are at the bottom. Same thing with chords. So the root of the chord is at the bottom of the chord. And what I mean by the bottom, of course, your chart is stacked opposite, but the first note that you're looking at right here is G. And if you look on your chart, let me go to my piano roll real fast. Look, I'll show you what I mean. The bottom note is G for this chord, and then the bottom note is D for the next chord. Well, your bass line is going to move with G and then D. And you want your bass line to match with your chords. Okay, so what I mean is, if we're playing a G chord, whenever this G chord is playing, then I want my bass line to be playing a G. Whenever the D chord is playing, this chord, I want my bass line to be playing D. Okay? So when I go to my bass, I know that my 6 chord played for 4 beats, then my 3 chord played for 4 beats. So I want to make sure that I have G playing for 4 beats. Let me find G. Okay. Then I'm going to find D. And I'm actually going to play D a little lower right here. I'm just going to play it right here. So I know that G is going to play for 4 beats, and then D is going to play for 4 beats at the same time that the chords are playing, because the chords is a G chord and a D chord. So my bass line is going to be G and D as well. So it matches. Let me show you what that sounds like. Show you what that looks like first. So you can see I got my chords right here. This is G to D. And then, I'm sorry, my chords are up here, which is G to D. And then my bass line is right here, G and D. Okay, if I play this, it should sound pretty good. Let me hear it. Let's hear it. And that bass line is very strong. You turn it down some. You can control your volume for your instruments right here. Okay. And just to get a really good feel for it, let's loop it so we can hear it a couple of times. Okay. So that sounds pretty good. That's pretty decent. That's pretty decent. Now we're going to add a third element. When you talk about melodies, we're going to add a melody to this. Melodies, you want your melody to kind of sit a bit higher or a bit above everything else that's going on. Um, and your melody is just going to be like a main idea of the song, or just giving the song some type of characteristic that you can have something playing over top of it. Now, the rules for your melody for now, that to keep this simple, is that we're going to use the same notes that are inside of our chord inside of the melody. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to add a new track, and let's just choose something simple. Let's go with we'll use Pink Carol. Okay. So I'm in my third instrument voice right now. I'm gonna go inside. For melodies, you kind of want your melody to be moving a little faster. So in order for me to achieve that, I'm gonna go to my magnifying glass and I'm gonna zoom in a couple times until my boxes multiply a bit more and get a little smaller. Okay, you see, once I did there, you see what happens? My boxes are split up even more. This is going to give me the ability to use eighth notes. Okay, so very important stuff right there. And look, the cool thing about this is, for the first 4 beats, I can use G B flat and D any way I want to. And then for the second four beats, I can use D, F, and A any way I want to, and basically try to create some type of melody. So I'm gonna work this out real quick and see if I can create a decent little melody. Nothing too extravagant. Also when I move up on the piano some, probably get up here around the C6 area, C5. So let's see if we can create something real quick. Okay, so just you can see they're trying to make my bars longer. So I'm gonna come in and just drag that down to right there. Okay, so let's go with G, B flat. Let's do it, B flat again. Let's go D, B flat, G, G, G. And then so the first four beats, remember I said, the first four beats, I'm gonna go by the rule of thumb. I'm only using the notes from that chord, which is the G chord, which was G, B flat, and D from this chart. G, B flat, and D, because I chose 6 and 3. So when I get to the 3, which is the next four beats, I'm only going to be using notes from the 3 chord, which was D, F, and A. So let's mix it up some and let's put some stuff in here. So let's go D, D. Let's go. Let's find A. And let's go F, F. And I'm kind of mixing and matching. So simple little melody, nothing extravagant. Let me delete that one. If you want to delete anything, you can highlight it and either hit backspace, or you can right click it and just click delete from there. Okay. So I just put in some things. Of course, since I was able to, use the magnifying glass to make the notes smaller, I was actually able to get smaller values of notes. So now I'm doing eighth notes, which means I can move a little faster and actually put more notes in. I would do that for melody, for the melody, because you don't want your melody to kind of be boring. You want to kind of move around a little bit. So we got 3 elements so far. For music's sake, I'm going to take my melody, click and drag it above everything else, because usually the melody is up top. Chords should be somewhere like right here. So I got my chords and then I got my bass line. So I got 3 things going right here. And the fourth thing that you're going to need is some drums, right? So let's go ahead, add new track. Drums. Now you guys have been doing the drums for quite some time, so I'm not tripping about drums. So make sure you go in and find a decent drum set. So we'll use this one. Now we kind of just gonna go in. I'm gonna make this very basic. So once again, for the sake of time. Okay. So I have 4 elements here. I got drums, right? Drums, bass line, chords, and a melody. As you can see, my drum part, and what you'll realize that your drum part is not as long. It doesn't cover the entire situation. That's not an issue. What you're gonna do is right click, hit copy. Make sure that your cursor is directly where you want your copy to drop at. And we're gonna right click and we're gonna hit paste. See how it just popped right on up? So if we put this on loop right now and just let you hear it, this is what you got. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Um, Once you've done this, guys, all it is just a matter of copying and pasting this to where it actually turns into an actual beat. Copy and paste your stuff and put things in, take things out to where you want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, for instance, I'll give you an example. Let's say I don't want, this is gonna be my intro. I'm gonna make my intro happen twice. So I don't want to put I want to put drums and bass line in just yet. So I'm gonna slide this stuff all the way out the way. See what I'm doing? Sliding this out the way, sliding this out the way. I want this to happen twice. So let's highlight them. Let's hit copy. Let's bring our cursor up. Let's hit paste. I dropped them down there, but we can fix that. That's not an issue. Slide this on up. So basically what I just did is I created this so that it can happen twice. And then let's go ahead. I'm gonna show you how to just go ahead and make a drop for it then. So when the beat drops, you can hear that. Let's yeah, let's copy and paste it again. Okay, so just so you can hear what I got going, and let's do this real quick. All I'm doing is dragging everything up, hitting copy. Let's bring this to the end right here. Paste. Okay, so let's hear what we got. You got an intro, and then you should hear the beat drop. Let's watch. Just listen. 1, 2, 3, and the beat drop. Okay. So I'm going to stop the video here so it doesn't get too long. Of course, I'm going to come in and talk a little bit more about how to actually shape your song, structure, how to structure your song. We've talked about it though. You got the intros and verses and stuff like that, and how to go back and forth between letting the artist know when they can get in on the track, when they're supposed to be putting in lyrics and when they're not. All of that stuff. We've talked about it, but I'm going to do some more videos on it as well. But I'm going to stop this one now. This is a lot of information in this video, y'all. And it's super helpful if you listen to it and pay attention. If you have any issues, you can always get in touch with me, but you can always stop it and rewind it and listen to my instructions again. If anything, you feel like I moved too fast on something, you can always stop this and slow it down. You can always stop and look at it again until you get it right. But trying to take as many excuses or take all the guesswork out of this, guys. I know this learning these new programs and stuff can be daunting. They can be difficult, but as long as we're trying to get through it, I think you guys are going to do an amazing job. um, just get in touch with me if you have any issues. I'm Mr. Jones, once again, your band director at Oak Haven High School. Glad to have you guys on board, and I will see you in class. Be safe.